Thank you all for coming. Really fun week, really exciting week. One of my favorite. Hey, DA, you're here. I thought you'd be on a basketball assignment or something. Okay. We were just talking about you. That's why I started to get distracted there. But really fun, exciting week for all of us in the building for the draft. But then also, it's really cool. All the players are back. So everybody was sitting in these seats right now. I think you guys are in Jaden's seat. You're in Bobby's seat right there. And so we got a big crew coming back. So a ton of juice in the building. As you guys can see, a lot of cool things are happening around the building with the construction and everything. So really thrilled about all that. A lot of good stuff coming down, and then this weekend's going to be a lot of fun too with the draft. So what I'd like to do first, and then we'll hand it out to questions, is just thank some people. And it's really the draft is so cool because it's the whole organization. It's not just myself, not just Lance. It's everybody, right? But it starts with the scouts and the college scouts, and they are working tirelessly from really starting now and until next year's draft on all the guys that we're going to be picking for next year. So I'd like to single those folks out and a few others, and then we can get rolling. But first, the gentleman to my right here, Lance Newmark. Thank you, our assistant GM. Scott Fitter's done a great job. He came over from Carolina and has been an outstanding resource to our staff, and really cool to have him here. Doug Williams, you all know him. He's fantastic, and the same thing, like just a great sounding board for myself, for all our staff, a great person to look up to, and he's also really understands our players that are in this building and then in the draft as well. David Blackburn, who we just hired as our Director of Player Personnel this last year, has done an excellent job. Tim Gribble, our Director of College Scouting, he's going to be like the most fun guy at the draft party after the draft because he's put in so much work, watched tirelessly. There's so many guys and so many prospects, and aggregate so much information. So really thankful for what he's done this year. Jeff Bethard, our national scout. We got Tyler Clater, our Blesto scout. And Chuck Cookie, if you guys don't know this, he was awarded the C.O. Bricado Lifetime Achievement Award for scouting, and it was a big deal. He was given an award at the Combine. If you see him, please congratulate him. And he's also just found out it's his 40th draft, so it's pretty darn cool. DeJuan Jones, another national scout. Pete Piccarelli, Dustin Reagan, Ron Rose, and Paul Skansky, and then Roger Terry is our college scouting staff. So awesome. It's an awesome group of guys, really fun to be around. It's great when they're in the building. They came in here for 2 weeks and then left for Easter, and now they're back here for this week. So they've been away from their families a lot, and then especially this month, but they're working really hard. And so just wanted to single them out. And then just everybody else, the R&D department, Sinu and our football solutions team, the developers, creating a really cool scouting database for us. Then you get the coaches involved, and the coaches are incredible. They work really hard in the draft. Video, IT, the doctors, football ops, equipment, the kitchen. Connor, you guys know those guys. They cook for all of us. Dylan and his team, team security, and then last but not least, our guy over here, Sean. So, but I'm honestly like, it's everybody. And that's what's so cool about the draft. So I just wanted to thank everybody. And then last but not last is our friends in D.C., the Caps. Congratulations on the win last night. Congratulations to our friend Spencer, and best of luck to them and Ovi. That was incredible last night. I've become a huge Caps fan since I've been here. So best of luck to them. Now, anything?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and go Caps.
Go Caps. All right, let's go.
All right, John Keim, ESPN. Before we turn to this year, looking back at last year's class, because as Dan said, guys take that year one to year two jump, and with only 5 picks, a lot of the improvement's going to come from that group. So I'm curious if you could talk about it, both you guys could talk about a couple guys in particular, about the expectations for this year. Jerzon, Ben Sinnott, and then Jordan McGee.
Yeah, those guys, it's cool that you asked about those three because all three of them have been here working in this building for quite some time. Even we just started today with the off-season program, but they've been working their tails off really for the last couple of months. I see them in here almost every day. So really excited about each of their future. They're the right types of guys. They're the guys we want. They're commanders. And so I think you'll see a big jump in each and every one of those guys play this year.
Yeah, I would echo that. They're three guys that are extremely dedicated to getting better. Like you said, they're commanders. They've worked really hard this offseason to improve, physically, mentally, every part of the game. They want to be contributors next year, and they're doing everything they can to do that. So they're definitely wired the right way, and they've worked really hard to be in position to do that.
And I'm also curious, for Adam, what has been your experience going when you're trying to vet a guy that has a quote-unquote character concerns? What's the process you go through to come to a conclusion that, okay, he's good or they're not so good? What kind of research do you put into that, and how do you get comfortable with the decision?
Yeah, that's a great question. Excuse me. And it really starts with the scouts, and that's where all the hours that they put in, and all the information, all the people they talk to at the schools and the players' hometown and everywhere else, they dig up anything they can to find out what makes each of these guys tick. And so you say a character concern, and we drafted a guy in San Francisco who had character concerns, and he turned out to be one of the best players at his position, one of the best teammates I've ever seen, one of the best locker room guys, and just an outstanding human being. So you got to be careful where you get that information and who's giving you that information, and know your sources and all of that. But each character concern is really case by case, and you really figure out what the incident, if it's an incident, what it was, why that happened. Find out all the information from them, from everybody you can, in order to make the best decision for your team. So, and there's a wide spectrum of character concerns. From you have off the field things, you have football character. There's not really character, but then mental and learning that you look into. So all those different things play into it, but everything's case by case, and try to get as much information as you can.
With only 5 picks going into this, are you hoping to trade back?
I'm hoping to trade back. Well, we talked about this at the owners' meetings a little bit, and you're really open to everything, and you're open to moving up if the right move's up. If Abdul Carter falls to 27, I might want to try to move up too and get him. But I mean, if there's a great player that we want to sit and pick, we'll do that. But if there's an opportunity to move back, then we're certainly open to that too. With 5 picks, like you said, that's something you'd like to do, is add picks. But you always have to have somebody who wants to come up too, and we'll find that out. We're making those calls this week, and we'll have an idea of who wants to come up, and if we want to do that, and we'll also have an idea of who wants to move back in the first round ahead of us, and so we'll know what we can do there.
I believe last year you indicated that if a player you're taking in the first round, you'd like them to start and have an immediate impact. Along those lines, are there positions that you typically don't like to draft in the first round? I mean, do you usually like to stick to premium positions in the first round, or is it situational?
I think you could really go anywhere in the first round. Last year we went quarterback. I don't think we'll do that this year, but I think what we've done is we've made ourselves given ourselves optionality to pick anywhere. So I don't think we have a philosophy of going premium positions or quote unquote premium positions in any round. It's really just trying to pick the best commander for us that's going to help us the most.
David Aldridge with The Athletic. I'm wondering, I know every year is different. Every team's built organically. You can't depend on what happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But the fact that you all did have so much success bringing in guys on short contracts, bringing in veterans on short contracts, does that inform you at all in terms of perhaps we have the right group of people here that can utilize veterans on short deals to continue to build the team and allow us to not have to necessarily have 9 picks every year in a draft to build the team quicker?
Yeah, I think, I think getting, it's all about, a lot of that's about opportunity, and if you can get guys on longer contracts, obviously you'd like to have as many picks as you can, but the way we're structured currently, we'll have to do that for a little bit and do these 1-year deals. But I feel really good about our staff, our scouting staff, and our coaching staff identifying the right guys to get on those one-year deals. And a lot of those guys we brought back this year, which really proud of and really glad that we brought those guys back. So I really have a great trust in those staffs to be able to identify those guys. And it's not something you want to live and keep doing over and over and over again, but until we get a really good foundation of draft picks throughout over the years, we're going to probably keep doing that. And as long as we bring in the right guys, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years in a row we've gone to the combine with our roster in the high 40s, and we've been at the draft in the 70s. So, we've really been productive in those 60 days, 2 years in a row. And I think every time we've brought somebody in, we've had a plan for them. Mm-hmm. It's been sincere, like, hey, we think this guy's a chance to do something here. Mm-hmm. And going back to your original point, I do feel that we have a great foundation here in terms of getting people into this building and maximizing what they have to offer in terms of potential and helping them reach their best, their personal best. I do think it's a really good environment for people to develop.
Ben Standing with The Athletic for both of you guys. Last year you guys drafted, of your 9 players, 7 were team captains in college. Obviously you clearly like what comes with that, the leadership and so on. But now that you have a year into this, the culture set and things along those lines, to some degree you're always building. Is that as strict of a situation? Is it like, hey, we've got to get guys who are captains, or is that a little bit less so this year because you already have a bit of a baseline when it comes to culture?
I think you're still always looking for those types of guys, no matter what. Now, the draft isn't always going to fall that way, but I don't think we're ever going to waver from the types of people we want to bring in this building. And whether they were captains in college or not, I mean, whether they are leaders or not, quote-unquote leaders, people lead different ways. But we're just going to try to bring in good people. And so if they were captains in college, that's great. That shows you something. But if they weren't captains, that doesn't mean they're not leaders, and they can't become those and can't become the types of guys we want in our building.
And in terms of the edge class, obviously you guys have done in free agency, you've got a rotation pretty much everywhere. You could say we can play tomorrow, so I get that. But in terms of the edge class, is there anything in particular you might be...
You took my answer.
Yeah. Any in particular you might be looking for? Obviously, you guys were a little bit deficient last year against the run. You also lost Dante Fowler, get more sacks. Is there anything you kind of looking at with that group in particular that you think you guys need more of this year?
Yeah, it's a deep class, which is cool. There's something, I think, for everybody, whether you're a 4-3, 3-4 team or multiple. There's guys that are great against the pass. There are guys that are really good against the run. So whether you're taking that high in the draft or somewhere deeper, there's going to be some good players there. So that, along with a lot of other positions, we'll be open to taking. And I think what's cool is even though we have some really good players in each of those rooms, whether it's edge or O-line or corner, which I'm sure you guys are going to ask about that too, but we have really good players, but we really, DQ preaches competition. So those guys are going to come in and compete, and the best guys are going to play. And the more good players, you can't have too many good players in a room, I guess.
Chad Ricardo, Fox 5. Around this point in time of the year, we hear the phrase best available thrown around quite often. For the Washington Commanders, how do you all define best available?
Yeah, I think it's probably just the best fit for our team, in terms of how they fit in our locker room, how they fit in our scheme and what we're looking for. So that could be any position, right? So, kind of, I don't want to keep saying this because Ben made fun of me for saying this, but we're in a position where we can take the best available and we can stay true to our board, and so we feel really good about that, and so we don't have to reach for a position that we feel we need that we may be talking ourselves into.
This has obviously been a months-long process, in some cases a years-long process. What will the next 48 hours look like for you all?
That's a great question. It's probably different for every team, and sometimes it's different every year. I think the next 48 hours, we're just really refining our board and just making sure we're challenging ourselves on different scenarios, different things that may come up. Really, you got 2 players right next to each other. Who would you take and why? And talking to the coaches and how would this player fit? Does he fit your vision? And so just the board's pretty much set. It's just like a little bit of tinkering here and there, and then you make some phone calls too. You make some phone calls like, okay, you want to come up? Do you want to come down? And just get an idea of what's going to be available for you. So you're not making all those decisions in real time in those 10 minutes that you have. So it's a fun couple of days. It's cool to have all the scouts here and really exciting.
Alan Sandage with 106.1 ESPN Richmond. Mr. Peters, I know you guys emphasize doing your due diligence on your scouting, even through free agency, talking to players and getting their input on some guys. Has there been any input given from players on maybe some draft picks?
Yeah, there's always some input on draft picks, and just kind of like your evaluators, you always kind of trust some guys more than the others. But they're not all created equal in terms of evaluators. But yeah, it's actually we'll listen. You know, you get information anywhere, and so always lean into those guys and their relationships, and hey, will this guy fit in our bloodstream? You know, is this our type of guy? And but we don't really get into the skills and technical evaluations like that, but certainly all ears to any information. Yeah.
Chick Hernandez, WSA 9. You guys have done this for a while. How different has this process changed with modern technology and all that goes into it? How different is the draft from, say, even 5-6 years ago?
I thought you were going to go further back.
Well, I was trying to be kind, but I see the grayness, so let's go 10, 15 years.
We probably both go back to carbon paper and certainly beta tapes. Yeah. So a lot's changed, and it's changing every year. Even last year, this year, we got a new draft room, which is really cool. A lot of cool bells and whistles in that. So there's always new information out there. It's always evolving, and you're always trying to stay ahead of that and really be on the cutting edge to find any edge to help your team. Just like you're trying every edge in a game, every edge you can, every little bit of information you can to make the best decisions in scouting and for the draft.
And when you make the pick for a guy in your position, you're going to talk to that commander. What is that moment like when you can hear the hysteria on the other end of the line?
Yeah, the first one was really nerve-wracking, and didn't know what I wrote down what I was going to say, and making sure I said it right and all that. It was a big pick, but then after that, it was really fun. It's actually really cool to hear the joy in the players' voices. It's really cool to hear the joy in the background of their family. It gets you emotional. They're emotional. It kind of gets you emotional and makes you really happy. You realize what a big moment it is for them, and they've worked their whole lives to get there, and they have their loved ones around them to celebrate with them. So it ended up being like the coolest part is making those phone calls for sure.
Scott Abraham, ABC 7, last year versus this year. How much more comfortable do you feel, Adam? Obviously, last year was your first NFL draft of running the show, and now here you are, your second year. Just kind of take me through the mindset of maybe the differences last year versus this year.
Yeah, well, we've done everything once, so that's good. Understanding all of that, we're in a different draft room, which is cool. It's better now, but I don't think there's a whole lot different, to be honest with you. I think there's always I don't ever want to be comfortable or relaxed. I always want to have a little bit of an edge and make sure that we're crossing every T, dotting every I, making sure we're leaving no stone unturned. And what I do love is the people we're working with, and the coaches and the coaches and the scouts, the way they work together, the way they really pour everything into it. Even after a long season, the coaches turned the page and jumped right into it, and just the teamwork, the camaraderie, and just another year of doing that together. Everybody knows what to expect, so you're not teaching everything for the first time. So I thought the process was really good this year, and we'll continue to tweak it and get it better, but certainly pleased from where we're at.
This is the first time in a long, long time the quarterback question has not been asked during a NFL draft process. What is that like to solve that starting quarterback position? How does that open up a draft and a draft board for you guys? Yeah,
that was I think that's every team that wants that, right, is to get your quarterback. And so we feel great, not only about Jaden, but about the whole quarterback room. And we feel awesome about that room. And so now, how it opens it up, we don't have to look for a quarterback anymore, which is cool. but and really just looking for ways to support him and the rest of the team and make them better.
Lake Lewis, CBS 6 TV in Richmond. Last year you made a trade with the Eagles, and now that's a team that you're going to have to try to get through to get to where you want to go. Does it change this year for you if that call were to come from them as far as possibly trading or any team in the NFC East?
Yeah, that's another really good question. You think about that, but I think it's like a lot of things, case by case. And what is the trade? Is it the best move for your team? And you can't do. I don't personally believe in being scared about trading with a team within your division. If you think the trade's a good value for you and you can get some good picks to help your team get better, then definitely consider it. Some cases it won't be. And so some cases you think, all right, maybe we don't want to do that for whatever reason, but I don't think that we'll ever shy away from that, taking those calls. And a lot of times you'll have a lot of picks on, or a lot of trades kind of lined up. And in that particular instance, the Eagles trade was by far the best trade in terms of value that we got, so we made that trade.
And then as far as your board, the players that you guys value, you went out and brought in Deebo Samuel, obviously to pair up with Terry. But if there's a receiver, I'm not going to mention any names, but if there's a receiver that drops and he's at 29, is that something that you guys would clearly jump at, or considering that's already a position of strength right now?
Yeah, I think really every team every year is a little bit different, right? And so it would really just what's the best player that's going to help us now and in the future, and because that room's going to change next year, just like every other room in our building is going to change each year. It's going to evolve. So, if the best player we think is a player that's going to help us more than any other position, then we won't hesitate to take that.
Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus. Adam, this is for you. You talked about challenging yourself. You mentioned basketball in the beginning, so I'll stay there a little bit. Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, when they didn't get the NBA championship, they had to challenge themselves again. You all came so close to being in the Super Bowl. What does the biggest challenge look like for you all this year?
Yeah, we're all starting at the bottom again. I think lost that game more times than I wish to say, so it kind of stinks. But you don't just start there. You don't just start back in the championship game. You start at the bottom with everybody else. So that's the biggest challenge is building back up. But I take the lessons that you learned that year, the good and the bad of your team, and there's a lot more good than bad for sure. There's very little bad, and just try to do the things that kind of help you put yourself over the edge for the next year. But it really starts right now. It started today, which was really cool, and I think we got a lot of great men in this room that they're not in this room right now, but that sit in this room for the the guys. There's a lot of great men and women in this room currently. Talking about our players, but I think I totally lost my train of thought, but it's going to be a fun challenge, and I know our guys are up to it, I guess is when I'll finish with
and
that.
This is for both of you all. Because you were able to put a lot of pieces together as far as through free agency, does that change some things as far as going into the draft to say, well, maybe we were going to go this way, but now we feel that we're a little stronger now that we may go a different way?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what that was the goal of it in free agency, was to do that, so we don't have to force something. And I think we put ourselves in a really good position to not force something. And really, we have a lot of players that we think we can take, whether we sit at 29 or trade up, trade back. But we don't have to just say, okay, we need to look at these three position X's or these two position Y's. We can look at all these guys across the board and say, okay, who's going to help us the most this next year and then for years to come.
I think you have to prepare for every eventuality in the draft. You don't know who you're going to get in free agency. You have goals and you have exciting hopes for guys. And the road, I would say, to the draft changes throughout the course of the scouting year. And we end up at this point where we feel really good about our options. And I think at every pick, we can look at who we feel the best players are, what position they play, how they affect us in 2025, how they affect us beyond that and make the best decision for our organization. And we've already had a lot of really good conversations, and we'll continue to do that. And then pick by pick, what's there for us? What's the best decision, And it's great to have that freedom and that, kind of mindset where we can really do what we think is best and not be, really tied to need.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. David Harrison on SI. AP, kind of a two-parter, if I may. We talk about boards all the time, and, top 5 pick, like you have 5 players listed, and one of those guys is going to be available. Do you have that same type of process at 29? Do you have like a 29-man list of guys you're comfortable with? And if you're going big board, but if you could estimate maybe how many players 1 to 29 would be guys that no matter who's calling, we're picking this guy no matter what?
Yeah, I think that's another really good question. There's guys that we know that aren't going to be there, so it wouldn't be. If they were there, yeah, we'd take them, but we're fairly certain they're not going to be there. But there is a group of, I don't know. This draft is interesting just because very little certainty after the first 10 picks or so of who's going to go where and why and what's going to happen and all that. So we have to be ready for a lot of different guys to fall to us or to not fall to us. And so we have done that, where we've done an exercise where we just ranked this group of guys, however many it is. It could be 10, it could be 5, it could be 20 of, okay, will they be there? All right, and if these guys are there, should we stay and pick, or should we trade down? Should we trade up to go get one? So really challenged ourselves to do that before we fell on the clock. That way we'd be able to make a decision pretty quickly.
And then Lance, for you, I think your career trajectory, most people would agree, is pointing towards GM at some point. How much do you feel like you've grown from your on-the-job training experiences here in Washington so far?
I feel like I've grown a lot here. I'm really grateful for my time here. It's been great to work with Adam. It's been great to work with DQ and the coaches. It's been great to work with the staff, and this team was very unique and special last year. One of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my career was this season here last year, and I try to go into every day. Hey, how can we get better? What can I learn? And I've learned a lot from him. I don't know if he's learned anything from me, but it's been. I feel like we complement each other really well, and it's been a great experience. I feel like I've really grown in a lot of different ways, and I think as long as you're open to that, you can do that in any situation. But this one has been really special, just because, like you said earlier, the people that we're doing it with. Yeah.
Thank you.
Got time for 3 more?
Hey there, I'm Candy Waller from Bowie TV. Adam, this one is for you. During the Combine, Coach Quinn mentioned that, or his opening statement said that this time last year you all weren't really sure, what is a commander? What does a commander kind of look like, and what were you all looking for in a commander? But now you know what that looks like. So what are some of the characteristics of the people on the team now that made you say, yes, that's a commander right there?
Well, there's some basic characteristics that you kind of look for in just about any football player of any team, right? But you're really just seeing the competitive spirit of a lot of the guys we have. The guys, you throw in like Frankie Louva's competitive spirit, Bobby Wagner's professionalism, his consistency, his leadership. I can go down the line, but I think there's so many different things that really go into that, and it's not a one size fits all. I don't think either. But the guys that are great competitors, that are great teammates, love football, and I think those are probably the 3 biggest factors that would go into it.
For Adam, Liam Griffin with the Washington Times. Last year's draft was really successful. Just beyond Jaden, you had several starters from that draft class who contributed immediately. What made last year's draft so successful, and how do you go about trying to repeat that?
I think it started with right when we got here with our collaboration with the coaches, and we all sat in this room, and the coaches presented what they were looking for at each position. And not only did our personnel staff get to understand what the coaches were looking for, but during that time we got to get to know each other and bond and create relationships and create really good working relationships. So you could have really good conversations about players and understanding, okay, what we're looking for at each position. And then from there, just really focusing on guys that we think would fit really well in this culture, which really hadn't been set, but we had an idea of what that culture was going to look like. And so sticking with those two things, getting players that we all really were committed to, that we were kind of agreed upon in terms of both coaching and scouting, and then getting the right types of people in here. And, we were able to do that, and I'm really proud of the guys we brought in.
Sam Fortier, Washington Post. How much do the coordinators factor into your decision making? By that I mean, hey, we spent a lot of resources to go get a couple top line guys for Cliff. Maybe we should use the top pick for Joe. How, if at all, do the coordinators factor into your decision making during the draft?
First, shout out to the Veach shirt. Really, exceptional pull there for me. I haven't been there in a long time, and hope to never go again. But the coaches are really involved. The coordinators are really involved in the draft process, and so when we're going through our draft meetings, every position we go through in offense, Cliff is in there meeting with us, which is it's a long time for a coordinator to be in a meeting room. And then for the defense, Joe's in there. So they both give their opinions on really every player that we talk about. And so they put a ton of work in, and they do a great job of teaching us their vision for the player. If there's a player they really like, or the player that maybe they think is a good player, but maybe we don't have a vision for them, or they aren't the best fit for us. So really constant dialogue between those, during those meetings, and then really from those meetings when they finished up last week until Thursday night and through the weekend, just understanding, okay, what do you think here between these two guys? And we'll come to a decision all together, but their input is really important for us.
All right. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out.
See you Thursday night.
Hey, I didn't hear. Who did you say you hope for?